Assalamu alaikum, my dear students. Here we are with unit number 3, contemporary approaches to linguistics. We start first of all with lesson number 9, transformational generative grammar, or what is called TGG. Okay, when I talk about transformational generative grammar, I associate it with Noam Chomsky, the American linguist who was considered, no, he is considered as the father of contemporary linguistics. Avraham Noam Chomsky was born in 1928. His initial academic interest was in maths and logic. This has influenced the way he formulates his linguistic theories, especially in terms of symbols, in order to achieve precision in the scientific description. His first major publication of syntactic structure, which was published in 1957, it was the earlier models of grammar that was considered as a revolution against the American structuralism. It broke new ground in a number of ways, as we are going to see in these slides. So, to encounter different weaknesses evident in traditional grammar and structuralism, transformation generative grammar was a new theory of language that does more to contemporary linguistics. Avraham Noam Chomsky was not only the father of contemporary linguistics, he was also a pioneer in many other fields of research, and he was one of the founders of cognitive science too. Okay, transformational generative grammar. When I talk about transformational generative grammar, I talk about the early starts that is dated from 1957, and the publication of syntactic structure. Its author, of course Chomsky, was at that time 28 years old, and he published this book to talk about the traditional grammar theory set by the American structuralism, especially in terms of the immediate constituent analysis, or what we call it ICA. Okay, transformational grammar or generative grammar, or what we call it TGG, normally it is a new theory set by Noam Chomsky that seeks to analyze the system of the language. So according to him, or according to this theory, transformational generative grammar is a system of language analysis of the relationship between sentence elements and its possible sentences of a language and rules. And it is based on something called transformations. Transformations, it is the act, or it is the process of producing new infinite sentences from the existing ones. So, it is, in other words, it is a rational grammar that seeks to know the relationship between the semantically similar sentences at two levels: surface structure and deep structure. Examples of that, I have active sentence, Ahmed ate the cake. Its corresponding passive, the cake was eaten by Ahmed. This is what was absent in the ICA. In the PSG, or it is the phrase structure grammar, that neglected this kind of transformations. So, TGG, this theory of grammar, provides a model for the description of all languages. And it was a criticism of structuralism, okay, especially in terms of the PSG, the phrase structure grammar, which neglects the sentence relation and its structure relatedness between its elements, and it neglected the transformations interrogatives, negatives, passive sentences, imperatives. So this was, if you can say, the departing point. It was a criticism of structuralism. It was a kind of revolution against structuralism basics. And it was a new formulation of linguistic theory, okay, that studies the more complex sentence structure and the principles of producing language. So, what is neglected by TGG? What was neglected by the TGG is this kind of transformations from active to passive. For example, the questions or the interrogatives that can be raised by this sentence. For example, Samir saw Miriam. It is related to the following questions: who did Samir see, and who saw Miriam? And different, for example, I can say who saw Miriam, or Samir saw whom, and so on. So different transformations. These transformations were neglected in the TGG, which is normally the model of description used in American structuralism. And the main focus of this transformation to narrative grammar is the deep and the surface structure of the sentence. Now we move to the main concepts of TGG. The main concepts of TGG, of course, based on the criticism of structuralism, TGG was and brought new concepts and a methodology for language studies. So the main concepts here we have competence and performance, which he considers as normally two concepts that were clearly stated by Noam Chomsky: deep structure and surface structure, mentalist view of language, which is based on his own foundation of cognitive sciences and his influence or his, if you can say, that really reflects his influence of the influence of psychology on him. Language universals. Also, this was the ultimate objective, the ultimate goal, and his ambition to, of course, to set or to establish a universal grammar for all languages. And he sought also to define language and grammar differently. We are going to see the concepts one by one. The first concept, which is competence and performance. Competence and performance, according to Chomsky, it is the idealized capacity. I'm talking about competence. It is an idealized capacity located as a psychological or a mental property or function. According to him, competence, it is the shared knowledge between the speaker and the hearer. So, the shared between the speaker and the hearer, and it is hidden. I cannot guess that this person is competent in speaking or in using a certain language or not. But performance will show this. Performance is the actual production of actual utterances. What do you mean by this? It is the production. It is the seen, the visible, the heard. Okay, the heard language production. Okay, so it is not. So the competence, it is hidden. It is idealized capacity. It is shared between the speaker and the listener. But performance, it is the actual use of the language. Okay, so this is the first concept. The second concept is the deep structure and the surface structure, and this is the main point related to TGG, which was, if you can say, the starting point against the American structuralism, or against the traditional grammar description. So the surface structure of a sentence and the deep structure of the sentence. They are two terms used by Noam Chomsky in his book Syntactic Structure. The semantic or deep structure, it is normally the semantic content of a sentence, the hidden meaning, and here seems that it focuses on the meaning plus the form. Surface structure of a sentence actually produces the structure, the pronounced or the written. So the sentence in front of me, how it looks like, subject, verb, object, etc., etc. The pronunciation also, but the deep structure, it is between the lines. What do you mean by? What is the message to be conveyed from this sentence? This is the second concept. The third concept, which is the mentalist view of language. The mentalist view of language, here it is another term used or another concept here in this theory, and this is the view of Chomsky to language, especially language acquisition, and this was mainly influenced by cognitive psychology. The mentalist view of language, it is normally the mentalist school of thought, which is led by him. Based on this view, he claims that the child learns his first language through cognitive learning by natural exposure. So, according to him, the first language acquisition occurred by naturally being exposed to the people surrounding us using that language. And he claims that the child acquires the language based on the concepts of nature and nurture. Nature, that the child has a certain capacity which is normally inherited from his parents, and nurture, it is the acquisition of the surrounding concepts, of the surrounding language, mainly. More specifically, Chomsky regards linguistics as what? As part of psychology, mainly the cognitive psychology. He brought to us also this concept of the LAD, which is the language acquisition device. According to him, the language is so complex that it is impossible and it is incredible to be acquired by the child in a very short time. According to him, the child is born with some innate mental capacity. Innateness hypothesis. This is the LAD. So, according to him, innate mental capacity which helps the child to process all the language which he hears, then this is called the LAD, or the language acquisition device. So each child is born with this capacity, this mental capacity, which is innate, which is inherited, and the child will start acquiring the language which he has, as if a certain capacity to acquire it. So as if he acquired it, and he has as if a background about all the languages systems. So automatically the first language the child will listen to will acquire it. So it's just a question of development. So the stage 1 was before being born. So this is a key concept number 3. Key concept number 4, Noam Chomsky's proposal of universal grammar. Chomsky thought that we can have a universal grammar, a grammar that can be used for all natural languages, since the source is the same as the human being. So all the languages can be universal, can be common, and there are common systems between them. So based on this idea, Noam Chomsky talked about linguistic universal, or linguistic universal grammar is a pattern, universal grammar, not linguistic, is a pattern that occurs systematically across natural languages. And according to him, all languages have nouns and have verbs. And if we talk about spoken languages, all spoken languages normally have consonants and vowels. Based on this fact, research in linguistics is closely tied to study linguistics typology, and it intends to reveal generalizations across languages, based of course on cognition, perception, and other abilities of the mind. So since all of the human beings, they have these abilities, why not having universal grammar? This proposal was not applied by him. It was largely pioneered by one of his followers, Joseph Greenberg, who studied and analyzed 30 languages. From 30 languages, based on their syntax, he had found or derived a set of 45 basic universals common between these 30 languages in terms of syntax only. The next concept, here we have two concepts, so because of the space, so I put them differently. New definitions of language and grammar. According to Chomsky, language, as conceived by Chomsky, is a set of finite or infinite of sentences. I mean, a finite or infinite set of sentences, and each finite in length, limited in length, and constructed out of a finite set of elements. This is according to Chomsky in his book, The Syntactic Structure. So here there is a finite and infinite set of sentences. So I have a finite set of sentences, which is the grammatical rule. So I have subject, verb, object, and from this sentence I can have plenty of sentences. I have an unlimited number of sentences. I will have infinite set of sentences. A grammar of a language, according to him, should be thought of as a device. So grammar of a language is a device of some sort for producing the sentences of the language and their analysis. So a grammar, according to him, should be considered as a device. And a linguistic analysis of a language should attempt to sort out the grammatical sentences from the ungrammatical ones, and study the structure of grammatical sentences. So the grammar of a language will generate all the grammatical sentences of a language, and of course will exclude all the ungrammatical ones. These are the 5 main concepts set by Noam Chomsky, mainly in his book The Syntactic Structure. Okay, that's all, my dear students. Thank you very much for watching. See you in the next video. Bye.